What is going on, people from the tube? Welcome back to another Pancho thing. Merry Christmas to everybody. This video should be video number 1 of the series Dog Hunting for Beginners by a Beginner. After a couple of days, Christmas came around. After a couple of days of well-deserved rest, we're back at it. We're gonna move forward. We have quite a few videos coming down the pipe. So let's go. Today I'm gonna be talking about gear. What gear to choose, where to start, and where to put the most money based on your budget, depending on what you need to acquire. So, one of the mistakes that I made was I bought a bunch of gear. I started buying my gear. I started a year prior of me trying to hunt. So I started buying stuff, but never went to the area that I was going to hunt. So I didn't know how my surroundings looked like. I didn't know if it was timber, if it was marsh, if it was a field. I didn't know. So I literally started buying kind of blinded, and I ran with enough luck that everything that I was buying kind of like matched the surroundings that I was, but that could go south really quickly. So for me particularly, first thing is know where you're going to be hunting. Before you set a budget, before you buy anything, know where you're going to be hunting. Is it a field? Is it a marsh? Is it a timber? What type of vegetation you got around you? What kind of gear you're going to need? Do you going to need waders? Can you going to wade just with mud boots? Go and check that out. Number 2, I want to say something really quickly is make your budget separate from your shotgun, from the rest of your gear. Don't put your shotgun in the same budget, because once you look your overall budget, you're gonna be like, oh, well, I can get something a little bit better on the shotgun, and you're gonna skim out on other things, and then you're gonna realize that by the time that you start acquiring the rest of the stuff, you're like, oh, I'm gonna be short. So, number 2, your shotgun. As far as the shotgun, me personally, 12 gauge is gonna be your starter. If you're younger, you might need something different, but starting 12 gauge for me is a great point. The longer the better. So a 28-inch is probably where it's at. In my case, I wasn't sure if I was going to stick to waterfowling, so I bought a pump shotgun. I made my budget based for a pump shotgun. So I ended up getting a Benelli Supernova, and it worked for me just fine for 3 seasons, and then I passed that gun to Kristen, and then I just this year acquired a different shotgun. But get a shotgun. If you have a great budget, then awesome. Don't let marketing get you. There's a lot of shotguns out there that just because they're expensive doesn't mean that they're going to be great for you. And there's a lot of shotguns out there that just because they're cheap, that means that the quality is terrible. Yes, there's going to be a lot of compromises here and there, but find a shotgun that fits you properly. Find a shotgun that you can bring to your cheek and you feel comfortable. You can see all the way straight down to the barrel, that it fits nicely, that you don't have to struggle to mount it. Find the best shotgun that you can acquire for your price. That is extremely important, guys. Get you a nice shotgun. If you want to go with a pump shotgun, that is great. If you want to go, if you can afford and go with a semi-auto and auto loader, that would be great. Just make sure that whatever you get fits you right. Number 3, this is one thing that I got to learn through the year, is get you a nice blind bag. A nice blind bag. This year I'm using one of the Final Approach blind bags, and that thing is brutal. I have plenty of space, super sturdy, is holding up really well for the season, and I'm beating that thing up a lot, and it's doing great. So get you a nice blind bag. If you are going to be walking and being a really minimalistic hunter, where you're going to have probably a decoys bag that is a backpack, and you can put your decoys in there, and maybe a blind bag and your shotgun, then get the biggest blind bag that you can, so you can carry as much as you can in that blind bag. Depending on how the type of hunting that you're going to be doing and what you're going to be doing, you might require something else. In my case, I also have a massive backpack where I carry some other things, but I hunt with Commodore, I have to carry camera gear, I have to carry a lot of stuff. So for somebody that is going to be just hunting by themselves and in a more minimalistic way, a nice blind bag will do just fine, because that's going to be your best friend in the field. Before, a lot of people said if it's your first season and you're starting and you haven't practiced and you haven't learned properly the ropes of it, to leave your dog call in the car. To me, that's kind of crazy. When I first started, I bought my dog call double reed to make it easier. It requires less air, so I bought a dog call and a lanyard, and I practiced in my car for like a year. Not good. I'm still not good at it. It's better than when I started, but I'm not great. And I practiced for a year. Then I was just like, well, yeah, I'm gonna leave it in my car and just I don't know how to call. What am I gonna do with the thing? And here's what happened. There's two things that happened with that. One, being by myself, I realized was like, well, other people are gonna be calling dogs. Yeah, they're calling dogs to their spread. That doesn't mean they're gonna come to your spread. That's number one. Two, at the time that I actually felt comfortable enough to have a dog call on me and call for birds and see if they will come and turn around and whatever, I put the thing on, and then it was in the middle of everything because I was not used to hunt with that dog call hanging on my chest. If you're gonna be hunting by yourself, you're gonna have to get good at dog calling good enough so you can try to turn birds around while you're hunting, regardless. The person that is hunting and right next to you that is calling dogs is calling for him, not for you. That doesn't mean that the dogs are just gonna get magically to the vicinity and be like, oh, I'm gonna go to this guy. No, they're gonna go more likely that way. So yes, if you don't know how to call, more likely you're gonna turn the birds away from you, but you got no option. Now, if you're hunting with somebody else and they call and they're good at calling, then still take your dog call. That doesn't mean you're gonna call. That just means you're gonna have the thing. When you're shooting, you're gonna be comfortable with that thing. Your waders, everything, it's gonna be there. It's gonna be comfortable. At the time that you are confident that you can do dog calling, you're not gonna go through the process of learning, oh my God, the thing is in the middle. Now the shotgun is just getting on top of the call. No, keep your call with you. Get used to have that lanyard and that call hanging on you at all times. So when the time comes, you're not awkwardly trying to figure out what to do with that thing. There is really inexpensive options. Ducks, waterfowl, I know that they have a really decent call and it's not that expensive, so there's a lot of options out there. Number 5, super important, duck decoys. For me, duck decoys and the calls are attached kind of like in one area. For the most part, you're going to use the most common duck in North America and Canada will be a mallard duck. So getting a dozen of mallard ducks, that's it. You don't need more than that. That will do the trick. You don't have to get the most expensive ducks. You can use something that are in decent condition, decent shape, that might be used. You can go to stores after the season. In some of those stores, if you got stores in the area that sell decoys, they might have like a little rebate. Sometimes they have a box that they open for display and they're missing a couple of ducks and you can get a good discount that way. You can go to Facebook Marketplace. There's a lot of options for you as far as going to the decoys. Just remember, if you are going to have a duck call that is emulating a mallard duck, and that's what you're going to be using, and you put pintails in your spread and start calling mallards, but there's only pintails in your spread, dogs are not going to get close because they know that something is up. So match your dog call to your decoys. In this case, you're going to start with a mallard call. Get you a dozen mallard decoys. It can be any brand, whatever is in your budget, depending how your budget is balanced. That is going to be extremely useful. Number 6, make sure that you can get some Texas rigs for those decoys. Here's the deal. If you shot the decoy by itself, with not having a string attached to it with a weight, what is going to end up happening is that decoy is going to swim away, it's going to go end up only God knows where, and you're going to be out of luck. Get you a Texas rig, a weighted Texas rig. What that's going to do is keep your decoys in place where you're putting them, so you don't have to go and chase them around through a pond or a marsh somewhere trying to figure out where they swim with the wind and stuff like that. In my case, I use the Lifetime Decoys Texas rigs, and this year I kind of put my eyes on the final approach. I wasn't able to acquire them this year, but I'm probably gonna give them a try next year because they look really phenomenal. So I will love to put my hands on them and just do a test and maybe get a dozen of them and just see what happens. On number 7, I will put a little bit more of my budget towards that. In that case, it's gonna be your waders if you're hunting in water. Here's the deal. If you're hunting on a field, you're more likely not gonna need a wader. You can get away with mud boots. But if you're hunting in water, either marsh, you're hunting on a flooded timber. Me personally, I prefer chest waders. There's a couple other options out there, but for me, chest waders are one that is reasonably priced, and two, that it works in many different depths of water. So my thing was, the first year I bought the tie-weight waders, was by the time that I bought them, that was 3 years ago, that was 4 years ago, and it was $100, neoprene chest waders, and they were just phenomenal. Those things last for 3 years, they were neoprene. Now, the problem that I had with them was this. I hunt in Southern California. The first part of the season, by 9 o'clock in the morning, it gets really hot. And then you're stuck with neoprene waders. It gets hot, guys. It gets really hot. And one of the things that I was struggling is just like I could go the easiest that I could with whatever I was putting under the waders. But regardless of that, that neoprene will warm up and it will touch you up when that sun was out. So depending on where you're hunting, you gotta remember what kind of insulation you want in the boots. That comes by numbers, 600, 800, 1,000, 1,200. Just remember that. Remember that the thicker and the heavier that they are, the hottest it's gonna get. So if you're gonna be hunting in an area where like by 10 o'clock in the morning you're gonna be reaching 80s, 90s, 100, you're gonna be sweating. It's gonna be sweating a lot. Now this year I changed. Got rid of my, I actually put it in my bucket. It's my backup plan in case there's something happened to my new waders. But I got breathable waders. Phenomenal. The cool thing with breathable waders is that you can layer up depending on what's happening with the weather, and you can add, subtract depending on what you need, and the waders are always going to be doing the same job. So I like chest waders. Another thing that I liked about one of the things with my chest, that Commodore is sleeping. He's snoring. So one of the things that I like is I like to keep my shells on my chest. The tie-weight waders that I got, my first waders, had shell holders on the chest. The second one pair of waders that I bought, they do not come with that. So I had to get an external pouch for my waders because I feel comfortable. Some people like belts, some people like to have the shell separately in their blind bag, and they just, as they shoot, they put up. Most people that I see do that actually are on fields because they have a dry area where they can put their stuff. When you're in water, you might have to have things aerial. If you're doing a timber, you're probably gonna have your backpack and your shells and your stuff hanging on a tree. My case, I'd rather have him here. It's easier for me to reload, and I know exactly at all times where my shells are. So number 8, for me, number 8 is one of those things that it is imperative regardless of what you're doing, and that's gonna be a nice headlamp. You're gonna rely on that thing a lot. Having the best night lamp that you can acquire without spending a lot of your budget, the better. You're gonna need something that is reliable and something that is comfortable to you. Sometimes you're gonna be wearing that thing for hours to no end, setting up, throwing decoys, moving things around. So you want something that is comfortable, but it brings you the most amount of light that you can have available to you. Super, super important. Your number 9 is your camo. Now, camo is not necessarily a requirement, but it helps a ton when it comes to your concealment. Concealment is critical part of duck hunting. So you already went and checked your areas that you're going to be hunting, so you know if you're going to be in timber, you know if you're going to be in marsh, you know if you're going to be in a pool, like you're going to be in a field. So that gives you the opportunity to see the vegetation around you. So you want your camo to match that. If you don't want to flush money on camo, camo comes in an insane amount of prints. It comes with different pricing. You got cheap camo, you got super expensive camo. Depending on your budget, you can adjust what you need. Now, me personally, I don't like to flush a lot of money on my camo. I ran with the luck. I started buying stuff, but I ran with the luck that everything that I got kind of matched the areas that I was hunting and that I have been hunting. But if you don't want to go with camo, or you feel the camo might be a little bit touching in your budget, something that you might be used for something else, match the colors of the clothing that you're going to be wearing to the surroundings as much as you can. If you are on, you're going to be hunting merely on tules, get you something that can blend in with tules. If you're going to be hunting on an area where there's going to be brown bushes, just make sure that you can get something like that. If you go through green tules and you're standing in the tules with an entire complete brown hoodie, trust me, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. Or if you are in the ground where everything is brown and you dressed up like a Christmas tree, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. So just make sure that you can match the color of your clothing with your surrounding if you decide not to go with camo. And once again, doesn't have to be the most expensive camo out there. It's just something that is going to work for your concealment. Being in a concealment, I'm going to go to number 10, which is something that, depending on where you're hunting and you already check your areas, is do you going to need a blind or you don't. In my case, I bought a blind and I have used the blind quite a bit. But there's days that I don't need the blind at all, because the areas that I'm going to be hunting, they have or natural concealment spots, or I can naturally improvise a blind and I can get that. So just remember, your concealment is extremely critical and important. If you're going to be hunting in areas where it's really open, there's not that much vegetation and stuff, you might have to be carrying around a blind. A blind is not 100% necessity unless the areas that you're going to be hunting does require one and you don't have the availability to improvise a natural blind or blend in within the surrounding property. Number 11, your ammo selection. There is a lot of options out there. Federally, we cannot shoot lead for waterfowl, so that puts you in the option of tungsten, steel, bismuth. There's other materials that are non-toxic that you can use. Now, everybody's different, everybody different. This year I tried something different. Next year I'm gonna try something even more different. But I realized that steel for me does not work well for the way that I shoot. Steel does not provide the best results for me. So I'm gonna be trying something different next year. Way different. But just remember, non-toxic ammo that is appropriate for what you're gonna be doing. Gotta match the gauge of your shotgun. If it's a 12 gauge, make sure that you're getting ammo that is 12 gauge. As far as the size of the shell and the size of the shot, that goes back in preferences. Me personally, I like 3-inch shells, number 3 shot. If I'm gonna be doing a lot of goose hunting, I might even go up to BBs, just to get that punch and that heat on a way bigger bird, more feathers, tougher. So I want something that can have more power. But number 3s does really well. It's a well-round shot, at least for me or in my experience. And 3-inch shells. Some people like 2 3/4, less of a kick. Some people like to shoot 3.5. Me personally, I don't have problem shooting either. This year I like to set, the way that I like to set is a little bit, I don't like my decoys on top of me. I like to have a little bit more of an open so I can have more of a chance to see what's happening. Me personally, I noticed that 2 3/4 might be a tiny shy of the amount of punch that I need. So 3-inch number 3s were just phenomenal for me. But that's gonna be depending. There's a lot of different brands out there. There is a lot of different budgets, shells out there. Go with what you can afford. Pattern your shotgun with that shell before the hunting season, so you know exactly what is happening. Put that on paper. If you have never seen a patterning, I have a patterning video. There's tons of patterning videos out there. Go and check one of those videos out and learn how to pattern your shotgun, because that's going to tell you exactly what is happening. And if the pattern on your shotgun with your choke tubes that comes with your shotgun is not the greatest, then at that point you might have to go and invest a different brand of choke tubes and try. Me personally, I like Carlson's. I've been using Carlson cremators on both of my shotguns and they work just fine. But that's just me personally. There's other brands which I'm probably going to be trying something different next year just to see what happens. But extremely important, pattern the shotgun with the particular shell that you're going to be using and the choke tube that you're going to be using, so you know exactly what that pattern is doing at all times, so you know what to expect when you shoot at a bird, what is going to happen. There you go, guys. That's the gear that I consider is the most immediate thing to start waterfowling, and how I like to put my money into that. Just everybody's different, but just do yourself a favor and do your budget separate. Your shotgun budget is one thing, and then do a budget for the rest of your year. If you put them together, when you see that sum of money, you're gonna be like, oh, I can put an extra couple $100 on the shotgun, and then you're gonna realize later that you're gonna be short that couple extra $100 for the rest of the stuff that you need. So there you go. Hope that you get some information, some good information out of this video. If you guys want me to touch in a particular subject, please comment down below. I will be more than happy. I got videos about blind bags, my calls. I have videos about my shotguns. I have videos about patterning the shotguns. I have videos about my blinds. Everything is up there. If you want to look more into details of what I'm using and how I'm using it, go and check them out. If there's anything in there that still doesn't answer questions that you might have, please hit me up. I will be more than happy to make a video and go at it with those questions. If I don't know the answer, then we will be trying to find out an answer for you guys, and we all can learn at the same time. Thank you so very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, click the notification bell so you can be notified every time that I upload a new video, and I will see you in the next one. Pancho!